Gonzaga Nation SI Dan Dickau here with a little bit of a summer league recap in regards to Gonzaga players, and haven't seen anybody play summer league yet besides Chet Holmgren. But what a terrific start I thought for Chet Holmgren in his. I don't want to call it his debut because it's not necessarily it's a debut, but it's his return to action at a high level. We talked about the last couple of months, just the progress of working through injuries. They've kind of kept him out of the spotlight a little bit. They have in OKC while he kind of works his way back through this. But I thought it was a tremendous reemergence in a organized game setting for Chet Holmgren. 15 points, 9 rebounds, 4 blocks. Had a little bit of a slow start, which should be expected. A couple mistakes, but once he got into the flow of the game, you quickly remembered what he did at Gonzaga, the talent level that he showed at Gonzaga, the reason he was such a high draft pick 2 seasons ago. I thought defensively he was tremendous. He had, like I said, 4 blocks, but 2 of those were spectacular. 2-hand blocks. I mean, the amount of timing and agility and coordination, dexterity that you have to block a shot with 2 hands, absolutely incredible. But it also shows that, there was no hesitancy with his foot, because if you're going up with 2 feet, 2 hands, in that setting, you're really kind of putting yourself in a position where you trust your ability to land. And your feet, we all know that he had that foot surgery after the foot injury. The feet are something that's tricky for big guys. Well, it's tricky for any athlete. It's particular a sport where you're jumping up and down and you might be landing in some awkward positions. But he looked great, I thought, after those first few minutes and really got things going. But again, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 4 blocks. I think he's kind of that unknown player right now in the NBA, and he showed so many great things defensively. I thought offensively, he showed a great skill set, the ability to put the ball on the deck, create with his handle. He shoots it so well from deep that you have to close out. And then with the length of his stride and his skill set, he can really attack you off the dribble, like I mentioned. But he's in a unique position because a year ago, 2 years ago, he was talked about so highly. Obviously, he was a top couple draft pick, and then he gets hurt. And so, you kind of go off the radar a little bit. You kind of, are out of sight, out of mind many times at that level. And within that last year, Paolo Banchero wins Rookie of the Year. Had Chet played last year, there would have been a tremendous amount of pressure on him. But Paulo wins Rookie of the Year. Jabari Smith has a pretty nice year. Jalen Williams, his new teammate, Oklahoma City from Santa Clara, had a nice year. So a number of guys kind of, got their footing in the NBA where he hasn't had that yet. So now you would think there would be a lot of attention on him, but that hasn't necessarily been the case, because Victor Wembanyama, who went number 1 in the draft a couple weeks back, is such a phenom. He's such a unique talent, but it's interesting because he's a unique talent, much like Chet, a big guy who can put the ball on the deck, who can block shots at the rim, who can guard on the perimeter, who seems to play the right way. Very, very reminiscent of Chet Holmgren. So it's almost as if this is set up this season for all the attention to be on Victor Wembanyama, which it should be. But Chet can kind of come in under the radar and just learn the game firsthand and get comfortable with the game. And then I think going to have a tremendous rookie year. I would imagine Wembanyama is the leader for favorite rookie of the year. But I think Chet Holmgren, what I saw in summer league after having been out close to a year after surgery, I think there's a tremendous amount of hope in OKC that he is going to be the player that they had hoped to get. So I thought that was a great start for him in NBA Summer League. Got 2 games coming up tonight. Wednesday, they play Memphis in the Summer League, and then they play Philadelphia on Thursday. So it'll be interesting and unique to see what OKC does in regards to that back-to-back in Summer League. Obviously, load management has become a big thing in professional sports, especially basketball. With Summer League games not being overly important for win-loss, but mainly for development, do they keep Chet Holmgren out of one of those two games? Preferably, I would imagine the second night of the back-to-back, because he is still working his way back from that foot injury that we've talked about on many occasions. So lots of stuff going on with Gonzaga alums in NBA Summer League. A great start, as mentioned, for Chet Holmgren. It's going to be fun watching some of the other guys get going, both in the Salt Lake City Summer League, the Sacramento Summer League, and then in Vegas in a couple days. So for Gonzaga Nation SI, thanks for checking us out. We got lots more content coming up.